This venue has been one of my favorites since 2005 when I actually found slam poetry in Denver's slam community. That's perfect there. Yeah, and I remember kind of stumbling into Cultura for the first time and meeting Bobby Lefebvre and just not knowing what to expect and feeling a sense of home just by interacting with all the poets. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what? Is the light kind of funky on me?
No, it's good.
Oh, I don't. Oh, am I like, boom, can you guys see me? Like right here? Is this good? Can you see me now? Alright, man. Okay, cool. Yeah, and Ada Cruz. Make some noise for Ada too, who's not here today. So yeah, I spend a lot of time on the road, away from my family, and I do an awful lot of listening to music to feel closer to home and poetry. And a couple years ago, my touring partner Ken Arkind, who's also amazing. Oh, wait, before I even get to Ken, so give maybe a round of applause for Hoser real quick. I don't know if y'all know too, he's got the number 7 tattooed on his arms. Like I got 11 on here, so we are a 7-Eleven. We're very convenient. It's amazing if you put us together. We are very convenient. But I was more than blessed to be able to work with that young man back in 2010. And we spent a lot of hot summer nights in my apartment running like poems over and over and over again. And it was absolutely my blessing to be able to travel to LA and watch that young man get on a very large stage and make it onto HBO. So if you guys don't know anything about Minor Disturbance Poetry Slam, I suggest you guys, roger that. Yeah, you guys check that out. So here's my first piece about being on the road. One of my favorite artists is Tom Waits. Do you guys know who Tom Waits is? Yeah, beat musician and poet, and he also was in a ton of movies. He was in The Book of Eli. He played the devil in Heath Ledger's last movie. He was in Fight Club. Absolutely amazing artist. If you don't know him, I suggest you look him up. But he helps me on the road. All right. Somewhere between Roanoke and Nashville, I fell in love with Tom Waits. I realized that I haven't been far enough from home to have my own voice. So I packed my things, stuck my thumb out like a broke fence post, and waited by the side of the highway. My only company was an empty duffel bag filled with meaningless yesterdays and a stretch of road that could have led to deliverance if it wasn't paved by the devil himself. And I waited, as sober as a stone, and listened to what rolled down the highway. It sounded like a throat filled with hot coals or a heart pounding with splinters. This glorious sound like an orchard filled with banjo strings, swept away by some Bible Belt thunderstorm. Riverboat gospel, unwanted prayers from a widowed pastor, and tears falling upon stained scripture. This sound like an old veteran muttering into his phone, drunk dialing Christ. And I realized then that I will not know true love until I learn how to play a harmonica. And I remember then that soapboxes are for soap. Somewhere between Roanoke and Nashville, I fell in love with Tom Waits. I realized that I will not know true pain until I make someone else's wounds my own. That I will not know what it is to take a true breath until I choke on my own vomit. And I will not know what it is to be lonely until I have a one-night stand with faith. Somewhere between Roanoke and Nashville, Tom Waits came rolling up in an old beat-up pickup truck. It looked more like a rolling shrine of fallen amens. Hillbilly yard sale in the flatbed with broken piano parts that looked more like severed limbs and a stack of stolen motel Bibles that looked like the Tower of Babel. There was a speckled hound in the front cab with whiskey on his breath. I held out my hand and he licked my palm, and it felt more like an old friend telling me some unwanted truth in an after-hours bar. So I jumped in, threw my duffel bag on the dashboard, kissed my fingers like a farewell wish, and blessed the Virgin Mary hanging like some runaway slave in the rear view. And without looking him in the eye, I told him, Tom, please, just take me back home. Thank you. Yeah. I've really been inspired by what we heard tonight, so I think the theme for the rest of my poems is going to be beauty tonight. And so this is going to go out to Lulu and to Mama Rebbe, two at the same time, and we're gonna get beautiful right now. Is that cool? Can we get beautiful? Is that cool? All right. So walk with me real quick. I Googled beauty, and the first thing to pop up was an advertisement. Wax, straighten, curl, pull, all of which are verbs, none of which are adjectives. I started to think that maybe beauty is an action. It's a constant exercise in labor. The sun has to rise every morning to be seen. A woman has to put her face on to feel pretty. We have to strip away what we actually are and sculpt ourselves into beauty. But then I thought about the last beautiful thing I actually saw. And it was my 90-year-old grandmother sitting in her armchair, holding her Bible in one hand, a glass of wine in the other, and trying to remember some story about my Uncle Leon. And I thought that was beautiful. I imagine beauty didn't see one picture of a single mother, a newborn baby, or a poem being read on a stage for the first time. A young woman I mentor, who is very dark-skinned, recently told me that she isn't pretty. She thinks that she will probably end up marrying a white guy because they see her as exotic, whereas black men see her as ugly. She says that only light-skinned people talk about how beautiful black actually is. A reminder of our enslaved, sharecropper past, jungle bunny, eggplant, jigaboo, nappy-headed coon, dark, black Mississippi pink, in the rhythm of her soup coolers. All teeth and eyes, like a lioness prowling the savannah. Hair kinked and uncombed, like our sometimes rigid perceptions. Black. So what is beautiful? We've often heard the adage that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Confucius said that everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. So what is considered beautiful if it's truly up to the individual? That means that beauty is actually an abstract concept. It's intangible. And the consensus that we have come to has come at the hands of Maybelline and Revlon and press-on nails and hair salons and so on. But we know this, and yet we still torture ourselves. Do me a favor, guys. Can you all stand up for me right now? Stand up for me. You guys have been sitting here for a while. Do me a favor. Turn to the person directly to your left. If there's no one directly to your left, turn to the person directly to your right, and please tell that person that they are beautiful. So tell me real quick, how did that feel? Did that feel good? All right, so by show of hands real quick, because I can still see you guys. Let me see, by show of hands, who can remember the last time someone looked them in the eye and told them that they are beautiful? Wow. That's less than half the room. And that's unfortunate because we're human beings. We are one of the rare species on this planet that has the opportunity to be able to connect with one another through things like reason, right, and encouragement. Right? Like, okay, you don't see like a lion out in the Serengeti turn to another lion and be like, hey, yo, Mufasa, yesterday you not bad. You don't see that, right? But what we can do is I can say that smile you gave me right there, I can take that smile and I can put that in my pocket and I can save that for a rainy day. Yeah. And then maybe one day when it's raining, I can remember that I had his smile. Right? And maybe I make a wish on that smile. And maybe that smile lands in a tree. Maybe in that tree it makes a nest. And maybe in that nest it lays an egg. Maybe that egg cracks open and then sends out a smile to another tree. Maybe in that tree it makes another nest. And maybe in that nest it lays another egg. And maybe one day we can fill the world with his joy. like looked at someone and caught their eyes in like a hallway or whatever, and they ducked their face away like that? I mean, does that happen to you a lot? Like, does that happen? Right? It's not an accident because we are conditioned to feel separate, like they go to that one school, so I'm not supposed to talk to them. Or he listens to that one kind of music, so I'm not supposed to talk to him. Or his dad works at that one place, so I'm not supposed to talk to him. But that's all like imaginary. It doesn't really exist. Because it doesn't matter if you believe in God, or if you believe in like science and the creation of all this. Both of those stories said we all came from the same thing, right? So what's in me is in you. And what's in you is in me. And in her. And in her. And in him. So do me this favor. Next time someone makes eye contact with you and they duck their face away like this, can you please follow that face? Can you do that? Can you like connect with that person and make them recognize you as a sentient being? Is that cool? Can we do that? Roger that? All right, so put your pinkies up in the air. Put your pinkies up in the air. We're going to pinkies where I'm not going to touch all you guys because I'm a germaphobe, so that's okay. So I'm going to count for each of you guys just go. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, you guys are awesome. This next piece is also about beauty. A few years ago, I also pasted a lot of my poems up to my Facebook page. And one day, a few years ago, I posted up my poems, and I got hit up on an IM by a young lady who said, I wanted to let you know that I often go to your page and I read your poems for strength, and I wanted to thank you for writing some of the things that you do. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, right? I was like, oh, that's absolutely amazing, right? Thank you. And then she was like, well, can I tell you something weird now? Right. Yeah, and that's when you got like half a finger on that block user button, you know what I mean? Like you're right there. And I was like, no, sure, what's going on? And she said, well, I'm in the military, and I'm getting ready to be deployed to Iraq, and I wanted to let you know that I'm going to take your poem with me. Right. That's what I said. So I was like, wow, that's absolutely like amazing. I come from a military family. My grandfather is a living and breathing Tuskegee Airman. Do you guys know who those guys were? Yeah. Right. For those of you guys that don't know, they were the first African Americans to fly airplanes in this United States, and my grandfather did so over North Africa. All right. And so, yeah, you guys can clap for that. Yeah, black people kill Nazis. That should be a video game on Xbox. It'd be amazing. Starring Idris Elba as the voice of all blackness. I'm sorry, Idris Elba is my man crush. That dude is amazing. You guys have seen Pacific Rim. Don't act like he's not awesome. Anyways, so I'm like, wow, that's absolutely incredible, like, thank you. And then she says, well, can I show you something weird now? Right, and I'm like, But then she sent me a link to a photo bucket page, for those of you guys that are old enough to remember photo bucket. This is before Instagram, all right? And it was a picture of her left arm. And on her left arm, she tattooed a stanza of my poem. And she's a military policewoman, and so I kept in contact with her while she was deployed. And she said the only 2 times that she had to lift her weapon, she made sure that her sleeve was kind of halfway pulled up to kind of read her arm, to give her strength. So this poem used to be called Dear Caterpillars and Tadpoles, but now it's a dedication to Sergeant Cassandra Faith Broadus, who was deployed to Iraq Tuesday, October 13th, 2009. Dear caterpillars and tadpoles, I feel like you sometimes, all potential and hope, waiting for another day, another chance to prove that I am more than mistakes and flesh, clumsy and common, a pedestrian in a dream world. Dear caterpillars, it is probably better off that you were blind. You can't be tortured by your own reflection. Your stubby limbs and drum-shaped head make you an eyesore. You are a far cry from the winged creatures you will one day become. The gliding crayons, the cherubs of fields and forests. You are slow and forgotten, caterpillar. Tell me, do you spin those silken walls to castle yourself from those bigoted eyes that find you unsightly? How does it feel to be a vessel, a means to an end? Do you see yourself as cosmic gift wrapping, like a prelude to better things like rebirth and spring and growth? You are a reminder to us that the road to all things free and beautiful is often hard and ugly. Dear tadpoles, no legs, somewhere just beneath the surface. Tell me, do you have revelations of walking? Do you dream of dancing? Right foot over left foot, right foot over left foot for the world to share in your rhythm. Do you feel caged in your own skin? If you could, you would claw your way out. Does it hurt to grow those arms? But do you do it to climb? Does the bottom mock you? Do you feel like if you do not grab hold of the very sky itself, no one will pull you upright? Dear caterpillar, dear tadpole, stand as the rest of the world pushes you back down. Be a dreamer. Do what they say can't be done, then do it again, because you can. Dear caterpillar, grow legs, grow wings, blossom a rose garden on your back and take to the sky. Set the heavens ablaze with reds, blues, and greens. Shed your shell by your shadow. Drop the ugly from your hide. Like dusk drops sunlight from its shoulder blades. Dear caterpillars, dear tadpoles, transform into something beautiful. Because the ugly inside of me needs to know that I can change too. Thank you. So I'm going to read a poem for my wife now. Is that okay? Yeah. So she read one for me. Okay, so we got married almost a year ago in the beautiful island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of soca music and sun bathing and all kinds of cool stuff. But not more than a few days after we got married, I committed one of the worst sins a new husband can commit. I lost my wife's wedding ring in the ocean. It's funny now, right? And like literally, so what I did is I woke up the morning that we were going to leave, and I wanted to baptize all of our rings in the water for one last time. So I took all of our rings down to the water, and I dipped my hand into the Caribbean Sea, and I made the mistake of actually putting my hand in the sand and then letting go, right? And, you know, the ocean is a living and breathing being, you know what I mean? And so the ocean said, I don't keep things in one space. That's not what I do. So when I went back to get our rings out, only my ring came up. Her ring didn't. And I remember her coming down from the resort where we were, and she was flowing, you know, she was ready to, you know, get on the airplane and go back to the States, you know, and it was very, very awesome. And she saw me kind of splashing around. In the water, and she asked me, you know, what happened, what am I doing? And I said, well, I lost your ring, right? and she very calmly kind of pulled her, you know, her dress up and walked in the water. I'm sorry, hon, for telling this part. But then she like jumped in the water, right, looking for the ring, and the ring was gone. And we left, and went back home, and I had to live with that, with knowing that I'd lost her ring. So I figured I could write a poem, and that would make up for it. I love poetry. Yeah. So this is a poem for my wife, Ashe. I am her husband. I think, yes, I am her husband. Great pride in that. I lost the second most important thing that I have ever given someone. I buried our wedding rings under an inch of sand on our honeymoon beach in the Caribbean. The tide came to instruct me in the matters of recklessness. And when I went to lift them from their baptism, only mine returned to us. Fully clothed, I dived in, frantically trying to retrieve your band. In my haste, it sunk further and further, like a gasp of air from a lover's mistake, and finally, it was gone and became part of the ocean. Every seashell sparkled like the 4 diamonds in your ring. I pulled beautiful bits of coral and threw them aside as if in disgust. and with their perfect impersonations, when I returned to you, I dropped to my knees as if the ring was still in my hand and a proposal on my lips, this time in tears and shock. A man will always be different after losing a wedding ring. A piece of me disappeared in the ocean. I begged gods I don't believe in to return it upon the sand. I swore my life to Poseidon if he would lift the tide and reveal our lost treasure. Maybe it will find its way into a shell, and maybe a siren will wail at its beauty before curling around it and daring men of the water to fetch it from her palms. Maybe a mermaid will wear it as a reminder to stay far from land and the foolishness of men. The locals play on our beach. I imagine a child with skin black like coal, descendants of maroons, fugitive slaves, pretty voodoo face, teeth as white as plantation sugar, soca music in his step, diving into our ocean, water so blue, sky forgot where it ended, blood of renegade Fulani, French patois lips, ship, shapeshifter, fish, dive, swim towards freedom, dive, find a ring under the skull of a mother and child still chained together. Maybe he will think it is pirate's gold. Most likely, he will think it was some thoughtless newlywed. Tourists come to play American music and disturb the water with their yachts, insult our women, treat the shore like a limp body, kick to see if it kicks back. Now, if you recall, I said I lost the second most important thing that I've ever given someone. The most important thing that I've ever given someone is my heart. It is not made of gold quartz. There are no diamonds in its center. I did not save 6 months to buy it, skipping lunches and eating ramen noodles for a month, counting nickels and riding the bus. We did not drive 3 hours into the Rocky Mountains to find it, nor did my sister present it to me on our altar. I have not placed it upon your left hand. None of your friends have asked to see how much it costs. But it is yours. Delicate and foolish, heavy and sorry. It does stupid things when it's hurt. Sometimes it makes you cry. Most times it makes you laugh. But it's yours. My chest merely carries it for you, like a ring box. One day the tide may carry it away, and after years adrift it may come ashore, mistaken for Spanish crowns, aged by lessons and carelessness. I will not be careless with my heart. I will not leave it out in the open for others to find or for it to be carried away. I will not let go in hopes that it will finally come back to you. It is yours, and it is not made by another's hand. It was not sized to fit your finger. It barely fits my chest. It is not lost. It's yours. The tide cannot claim it, because you already have.